All right, so here's a video by Greg Owen. I've seen a few of his videos in the past. I think he's very good at discussing things, and this one caught my attention, so I thought we watch it for the first time together on stream about how robotic characters expose our humanity. And as a writer myself, who has a story with robotic construct characters, I'm curious to see his take on this subject here. I think it could be interesting from a writer's perspective, right? All right then. So we're ready to give it a go and see what we can discuss and yap about. So from Greg Owen, how robotic characters expose our humanity. Well, we'll see about that. Yeah. The stories he discussed, yeah, they might be a bit on the sad side, but that's sometimes how fiction goes. If it gets too sad though, don't worry. Then we can just press on. Turn on captions for y'all, and 3, 2, 1, go.
Sometimes to understand how something works, you gotta remove a part, see what breaks. Look through the perspective of absence. All of today's characters make a great study of humanity because they lack some key characteristic of it. Like, Violet Evergarden was raised as a literal tool, a killer child soldier with no other use.
Oh
She's
wow.
just a weapon, a tool, for the purpose of war.
Frieren is essentially immortal and doesn't view time or lives the same as anybody else.
Oh
You
yeah,
made this
Furion.
quest the journey of my lifetime. Thank you all.
I feel the same way.
Our adventure was a mere 10 years.
2B and her partner 9S
2B,
are
yeah.
androids, the most non-human of the bunch because they're not human.
The
Yeah.
mission given to us androids is to destroy machine life forms for humanity
Yeah.
and regain control of Earth.
Thing is, you can't list a bunch of facts about what being human means. That's something you can pull from a textbook. You learn it when something matters to you, when it brings you joy or hurt or it ends. Each of these stories is fantastic, and they skillfully contrast a life without some aspect of humanity.
Yeah, I think it's a really good place to start. Oh yeah, Nier Automata was a really great game. I haven't finished it myself. I only started it, but I know Pikachu's played it through. Yeah, I think Nier is a really good like study on it, right? Yeah, that's really true. All right, so off to a good start so far, because I think he's right. Sometimes to see how things work, you do need to like deconstruct it a little. Let's keep going.
Our first example, Violet Evergarden, wants to know the answer to one simple question.
I love you. What does it mean?
Simple, right?
Would that it were so simple.
Love is such a paradoxically deep, short word. How do we describe love? How do you
Oh,
explain
yeah.
that to somebody? Every attempt is like one of the proverbial blind men describing an elephant. At first, Violet thinks she can collect all the blind men's testimonies and put it together and figure it out. We're told that Violet was found orphaned on a battlefield and has been raised by the military to
wow.
be a super soldier. She has no emotion and follows orders perfectly. Instead of treating her as an object of war, however, Major Gilbert has compassion for Violet and teaches her how to read and encourage her to think independently, to have her own life. Unfortunately, after a victorious battle to end the war, he is gravely injured, and just before he dies,
Oh
the Major tells her to
no.
go and be free because he loves her. Problem is, without somebody to give her orders, she feels lost and she's confused by his final statement. So she goes to his military buddy.
Oh, that's pretty tragic, isn't it? Oh my gosh. Oh no, like, oh no, not. Oh, hopefully not those kind of special sites, right? Yeah, yeah. Violet Evergarden. I haven't watched it, but now I think maybe I want to. It sounds pretty interesting. If someone raised as a weapon, trying to learn what love is, it makes you think of Jafar from Fire Emblem: The Blazing Blade. There's a character named Jafar. He was also similar. An orphan child raised to be a weapon. But then one person says, I love you to him, and that changes his whole life. Oh, that makes it so sad, the raised as the weapon bit, learning how to love. So characters like that are a really great way to explore the concept of love. No, not Jafar from Aladdin. No, I guess if you haven't played Fire Emblem, you don't know who I'm talking about. But basically know that Jafar and Violet here, they share the same sort of backstory. A tragic orphan child raised to be a weapon, learning to love. So let's continue and see how Violet learns what love is in her way.
who runs an auto memory doll service. I know that sounds like a spa, and Catalea right here looks like she works in one, but it's really just a weird name for women who write letters for people, flower them up a little bit. Violet approaches the situation of finding out what love means the way I approach Lego, right? With militaristic, robotic directness, thinking she can brute force her way into learning what love means.
Read what you wrote! I read your letter. However, I do not have feelings for you now. Furthermore, your commitment to love is insufficient to me. You should know, I am a complicated and serious woman, so please consider this. However, I fully encourage you to try again once you have procured proper gifts as well as funds. Is there some kind of problem with this letter?
Obviously, that can't be done, and over the course of the show,
Well, I mean, she's not wrong, right? She's not wrong. or is she? Oh, you gotta love that sort of, like, innocent bluntness to her. Oh my gosh.
she instead sees it and experiences it in various ways. This show is a perfect prescription. If your tear glands are all clogged up, it will get them flushed out, no problem. If you're a shy type, you will definitely be noticing some details about your ceiling that you hadn't before. For example, in one episode, Violet is tasked with helping this author finish his book, but he's got writer's block after the death of his daughter. After telling her about how his daughter had this dream to jump over their lake while holding a parasol and flying, Violet tries it in order to encourage and inspire him. Oh my goodness.
I had to hold back my tears the whole time.
Everything about this show is emotional. Even the intro music. I don't know what this gal's singing about, but I'm pretty sure that she made me feel wistful for the first time in my life. In the end, we see two things about love. First, it doesn't require flowery language and grand gestures. Violet's simple, blunt manner sometimes cuts through the BS and conveys emotion with more impact than 10 pages of eloquence that somebody else might write. And yeah, I'm looking right at you, people who just want to talk to the Holy Father, Lord, Lion of Judah, Savior, Emmanuel, Father, Jesus, Father, Lord, Blessed Father, Lamb of God, Father. The second lesson is that love isn't really...
Sometimes less is more, right? Sometimes less is more. Problem is, with the question exists, the characters weren't deliberately written that way. Well, see, I think that's also like a point of fiction. Yes, you know, she was written to be that way, but you know, she's written that way to explore these questions, right? I mean, obviously, you can't apply it to like, you know, real life. Because, you know, you can't do that to a real child, right? But in the realm of fiction, we're able to explore it that way, to see, and oh my god, how do you, to try and, never mind, to try and, you know, discuss it through the lens of fiction, you know, what it means to love in that way. Yeah, exactly. Let's press on here.
About words at all. It's about showing up when words fail. Love transcends language entirely. Love is an action. It's about human connection, caring for people, even if they're dead, or we will be. Wanting the best for them over and above yourself. Demonstrating that feeling for someone by taking some of your finite time to do something as small as putting your thoughts down on paper and sending it to them.
It was the very first letter I'd ever received. And that helped me understand. I see how special it is to receive a letter.
Now, I'm sort of new to anime, like as a genre. There are some different conventions. Not bad, just different if you're not used to it. You know, certain camera angles, common tropes, methods of dialogue, narrating things you can see that are right there on the screen.
All the classic sins of anime, yeah. If you're not already into anime, it can be difficult to get into because there are a lot of, you know, weird animes out there, and it's hard to like recommend an anime that doesn't have some sort of, you know, weird moment that makes you go right. But there's a lot of good storytelling in anime too, And this Violet Everdeen, not Everdeen, this anime we're currently talking about is a good example of it.
Slow pans to save animation can be a little bit of a culture shock. Like, I was watching this new one recently.
Oh no, I've forgotten to eat again. It's currently 12:30, but I have an important meeting at 12:45. That's 15 minutes away. I need energy to perform my best, but it takes longer than 15 minutes to make a
That's how
quality
most
meal.
animes
If
are
I take the
nowadays,
time to
right?
make the food, I'll be late, and being late is bad.
He's so hungry, he's coughing blood, which is quite normal. He won't have energy, and I will take over the world.
I remember the last time I was this hungry and out of time. I made a terrible choice. I needed a nutritious meal, something with high-quality carbs, fats, and proteins to give me energy and keep me feeling full.
It's not an
One of the
exaggeration.
shows that
That's
left
how
me
some
feeling
anime
tired and
are.
hungry again soon after. No, I won't.
Never again!
But what can I do?
Hesitation is defeat.
Oh?
Don't you know Huel is a nutritionally complete meal? Their black edition is high in protein, and it's ready in 30 seconds. Oh yeah, that's right. Oh,
Chocolate! Oh, cute Is this an ad? Was this an ad the whole time? It's got the Cowboy Bebop music. It's an ad. Oh my god.
Make sure you keep some ready-to-drink shakes around. They're even more convenient. Yes! Now I'm ready! Time to attack! Today, Greg Ichiro got hungry and almost made a terrible mistake.
That was an ad the whole time.
Good
An
thing you listened
ad.
to me, drank Huel. That was close. But I wanted to take over the world! You can order the high protein bundle with black edition powder and ready to drink bottles. New customers can get 20%
Oh my
off
gosh.
by using the link below or the QR code on screen.
Was it really anime?
Hurry
If
before
there
they're
isn't a
all
Buffy
gone.
anime girl?
I wanted to do a parody bit like that anyway in this video, and I told Huel about the idea. They sent me a second package with that hat so I could do the Pokemon bit. Really cool people over there. Now, where Violet examined love, our next show looks at what gives love extra meaning. Time. Frieren Beyond Journey's End was one of those shows I just kept seeing recommended again and again in my comments, and when I finally started it, I was instantly intrigued just by the setting. We meet a D&D style party consisting of a wizard, cleric, fighter, and another fighter? Maybe? Barbarian? I don't know. There's a big bad evil guy, Demon King.
He's a dwarf. He's a dwarf. Your D&D party needs a dwarf. I know, isn't it? The parody was honestly spot on for an ad. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we're talking about Euphoria now, which is a really great show. Let's see what he has to say about it.
Gotta be slayed, but the twist, he just got slain. The campaign is over. We start the show following the party after. That's a pretty cool hook, and then it just got better from there. Now, there's this old saying in Latin, memento mori, which sounds sick as hell if you only wear black. Not talking about me. I'm currently wearing pajama pants with ramen noodles on them. So,
Okay.
memento mori roughly translates to
Remember
remember
you'll
that
die.
you will die.
Yep.
And its meaning can either be hopeful or depressing depending on how you look at it. I mean, it can either encourage you to go carpe that frickin' diem because you only got so much time.
Captain, my captain.
Or take all the wind out of your sails.
Yeah, that is true, isn't it? Yeah. It can be encouraging and a bit ominous too, depending on how you write it, right?
Because, nothing really matters anyway. We're all gonna die. Among several other themes, this show is about time and our relationship to it, how necessary endings change our perspective. For humans, their limited time causes them to do as much as possible, to strive to be remembered, to beat time by living on in memory.
And our stories are covered. Frieren and Eisen will know them.
I won't live nearly as long as she will.
Oh, yes. Guess it'll be your job then. You'll be the one to carry our memories into the future.
Many of the interactions center on memory and how we carry each other on, carry human experience on, even after death. In an
Yeah.
interesting Latin American parallel, the story suggests that one of the importances of our lives is to carry those memories forward, because people are only truly dead when they're forgotten for good.
But before I could hole up for good, I realized something. If I sat and died in silence, all I learned about friendship, strength of will, and courage, all the precious memories we had made, they would vanish like they had never been.
Elves, though, like Frieren, are basically immortal, and we get to watch the pros and cons of an immortal mentality. For example, the elves in the show are basically dying out because they don't bother to reproduce. The removal of time removes all urgency. There always seems to be a tomorrow in which you can get around to it.
There aren't very many of us.
Yeah, I think in fantasy settings, that does seem like an issue that, you know, that longer lived beings would go through, right? You know, humans have such short lives, you know, most live to like be like, you know, only 80 or 90, you know, like 100 mere years on this earth, whereas elves can live for like up to 1,000, right? I can imagine that's like the one sole advantage humans have over other races. You know, because humans live such short lives, they're able to reproduce quickly and expand their numbers quickly. How many people are on this planet right now? Like 7 billion, you know? Like 7 billion little humans, you know. They win just through sheer numbers alone, right? So it's gotta be rough for fantasy elves and other fantasy beings that are long lived but don't produce as much. Not produce, reproduce as much. Yeah, for me, it's not so urgent, right? Yeah, we definitely gotta check out Furion sometime. I hear it's very good. I've only watched the first couple of episodes, but I definitely want to finish it. It's a really great series, especially the main character. I really like her.
Us. We may live a long time, but we've scattered to the winds. Of course, it doesn't help that we don't have romantic urges or reproductive instincts. We're experiencing a quiet extinction.
In some ways, this is really good. Frieren is not bothered by chasing after random achievements and recognitions because the governing bodies that hand those out change anyway, so who cares? She doesn't get swept up in the tulip mania that sometimes grips us humans.
Yeah.
The downside, though, is that even important things like friendship and children get dulled along with everything else until one day is just the same as the next and her life is as beige and flavorless as a communion wafer. Which reminds me, right down here, there's the like button. Smash it in remembrance of me.
I shall. Yes, it's pro YouTube move. And there he goes.
Am I going to get smoked? No, I'm good. All right. As morbid as it might sound, the eventuality of death is what gives life meaning. Frieren only begins to see this at her friends' funerals, realizing she didn't take the time to get to know them well or truly cherish the moments that they shared. She gets a second chance and tries to honor their memories, adopting a new perspective, vicariously savoring the brevity of life through her new party members, Fern and Stark. There's also this other guy.
Goatee Priest. Now how's that for unforgettable?
Hopefully we get more of him in season 2, which will be out by the time you watch this, and I recommend you watch that. This show...
Yeah, I think that's a fascinating subject to explore, yeah. Yeah, Memento Mori, yeah. Life isn't infinite, so remember it. Yeah, I think it's a good interpretation too, Aliko. Yeah, oh, your sympathy cry? Oh no. Yeah, it is a bit of a bizarre paradox, isn't it? That something that doesn't last, like life, makes it all the more precious. It is hard to explain in a way, you know? How's that saying go? You know, you can't have your cake and eat it too, right? Well, Pikachu's, you know, there's also another saying that say, my elves are different, okay? Yeah, Furion isn't like Lord of the Rings elves. If everyone's like Lord of the Rings elves, yeah, it'd be a big, massive copyright nightmare. And plus, we wouldn't get such a, you know, a nice, lovely story about, you know, about how to cherish life in a different way. You know, to remember those who are gone. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you guys aren't taking it seriously at all.
also explores the passage of time on a country and community level, and how even large events are dulled and forgotten, as evidenced by the statue of the elf Croft and his companion, whose name has been lost, even though they were obviously very brave heroes who must have done something great centuries ago to have these statues made for them.
Every year we gather in celebration of the spectacular deeds accomplished by this brave band of heroes.
Will they still be doing this 100 years from now?
Oh yes, for as long as this town stands.
1,000 years?
That's more difficult to foresee.
Now, scenes like that seem to affirm the
For elves, 1,000 years isn't that long. It feels like 100 years to an elf, right? But humans, the traditions that we have nowadays, they're not going to be the same as traditions we have 1,000 years from now, right? I mean, you try to think, it's 2026 now, right? What kind of things were people doing in 1026? Probably nothing that we're doing today, right? Save for some standouts that persisted through time. Like Christmas, Halloween, things like that. But even then, I don't think those holidays are thousands of years old, right? Yeah, and there are things that were done 1,000 years ago that are not done today. And yeah, and 1,000 years to the universe, a mere drop in the bucket. Humanity, even though it's been around for millions of years, is like a dot in the timeline of the universe. It gets a bit, not quite existential, but it does make you think, right? That your life isn't that significant. But at the same time, that's why it's so significant, right? You're probably not going to change the world. You're not going to be some super famous person or anything, but this stream has gotten deep. Yes, that's what we're here for, this deep commentary. It's good to chat and discuss these things, because I think it's really good for discussion, especially for me. I'm hoping to be an author one day, and I do have a character who's a bit stoic and reserved because of something that happened, right? So, exploring, humanity through that lens, I think is fascinating. Yeah, and tech grew because of present day problems. Yeah, like to say, necessity is the father of invention, right? Or, wait. I got mixed up. No. Necessity is the mother of invention, and laziness is the father, right? You have things that need doing, but you also want to do them quickly. Still, in the subject of time, it's fascinating to think about, isn't it?
Fatalistic view that everything will be forgotten, so nothing matters. But through Frieren and her new companions, as well as flashbacks with the old, we see that our actions today have meaning today.
I don't think there's anything wrong with being a fake hero. I'll still defeat the Demon King and bring peace to the world. And when I'm done, nobody's going to be concerned about me being a fake or not.
Violet examined the meaning of
love, but
Frieren shows the importance of choosing to love today, while we can. Who knows if it's going to matter in a century? It does matter right now, though.
In the end, Himmel lived up to his promise. Even without the fabled sword, he managed to save the world. He was a real hero.
At the end of the season, we meet another elf who's been trying to raise up a legendary mage apprentice to be known the world over, to live on in greatness. But she laments.
Yeah, I think it's another really good aspect too, that, to not worry so much about the future. If you have limited time, don't worry so much about the future. Think about what you can do right here, right now. I think that's great too. Because, yeah, even if it's going to be forgotten in 100 years, 1,000 years, that's fine. That's just how life goes, What matters is what you accomplish with your life. It's your own little speck of history. Okay. Oh, so from Lord of the Rings, I see. And we invent things to save time because time is limited. Exactly, yeah. It's not always laziness. It's also about, preserving your time. And as for Anoriel, okay. Alright, proceeding.
That none of them ever have. One of those students is about to attempt to live on in infamy if he can't achieve greatness, and Frieren reminds him he doesn't need to be remembered by all. He was important to a few, even just the one.
As pitiful as most prove to be, I've never regretted taking them on. Even if they didn't become the legends I foresaw.
Now, before we move on to our last show, some people might wonder why any of this matters. Why am I reading deeply into these cartoons? Why are try-hard wannabe intellectuals always going on about the meaning of life and crap like that?
Philosophy is basically thinking about thinking, which sounds like a waste of time because it is.
Recently, there was a clip going around of Ricky Gervais on Hot Ones.
Oh, it's really hot!
And he was explaining his reason for atheism. Basically, he said if we erased all the science and religious texts in the world, the science would still come back later because it's testable, it's empirically provable, so it must be real. Now, it's true that we would eventually rediscover discrete facts, like the angles of a triangle always add up to the same amount for some reason. Passing a magnet by a wire causes the electrons to get the wiggles, and all the proteins that our bodies make start with meth. That's true, look it up.
Yes, science!
However, there's a serious flaw in our modern empirical evidence-only approach to things.
Yeah.
We've gotten really good at explaining how things work, but we've gotten so much worse at explaining why anything matters. Religion or metaphysics, they're not provable. That is true. Neither are beauty or joy or morality. But if all the knowledge in the world was suddenly lost, people would continue to search for the same intangible ideas. Because knowing what is doesn't explain what you ought to do with it. We know that we seek these things, and even if we don't arrive at the exact same answers, the exact same questions keep getting asked, and we should wonder why. Now, look, admittedly, philosophy.
Yeah, I think it's a really good point too. It's the same as gaming, once you achieve all your goals, what else is there to do? I think in that case, sometimes it's good to keep playing the game even if you've already finished everything, right? I mean, it's why I still play like Fortnite or Fallout 76. I've pretty much done everything there is to do in all those games. And Fallout 4, I finished everything, and exactly. Yeah, it's the same, the whole, science versus, thinking, big debate thing, right? You see everything there is to do in BioShock, but you still play through it, even though you know everything is going to happen, that nothing you do is going to change it. But, it's not about, spending the time wisely. It's about spending the time doing something you enjoy, and that is fun. And, the game does prompt you to think, BioShock. It's a really great game. Yeah, see, now you guys are starting to get it.
Philosophy books can be very boring, and they make you look grumpy. Like this guy. That's why it's so cool that we can explore these ideas in fiction. The shows we're talking about today are highly entertaining, yeah, but also they're secretly deep, jiggly philosophical inquiries about the nature of humanity and why we continually act and feel as we do. For the final example,
yeah, I think a story that doesn't make you think probably isn't that good of a story in the first place. That's painting a very broad brush, right? Not every story needs to be some deep philosophical exploration. Sometimes you want a story that's just fun. But I think sometimes even stories that are fun, if a story makes you think a bit, it's a really great story. Yeah, it would be fun, wouldn't it? I think that's why these stories of these long-lived beings are so interesting. Like, if you had all the time in the world, what would you do with it? Curious, right?
I was going to tell you about this incredible video game, Nier Automata, which you should 100% experience to the 100%. However, I only recently learned they also made it into a show, which is probably going to make for better B-roll, and they so far seem to be following the story and the theme perfectly. Now, Nier is not asking what love is or why time matters. This one's a little darker. It's asking why anything should be done at all. Story goes, in a far future Earth, human-looking androids are fighting a protracted war against robots, which were sent by aliens, took over the planet. Humanity moved to the moon after losing Earth and sent androids down to fight for them. As the story begins, interesting anomalies appear, though. Not all the robots are mindless killing machines. They're behaving strangely. This one tries to grow some flowers. Many of them are refusing to fight at all, either engaging in random human-like behavior or just standing around.
There seem to be more units like this lately. They just sit around all the time. I wonder what they're doing.
Turns out, it's not random. So this video game, featuring Rule 34 fodder with giant floating swords facing off against mountain-sized robots in epic battles, is actually a story about life without God and how meaningless that is.
You serious?
That's actually just one of the things that it's about. So see, the robots took Nietzsche literally, and they killed the aliens that created them, but then discovered they had no purpose.
It seems this Nietzsche was quite the profound thinker. Or perhaps he skipped right past profound and went straight to crazy instead.
Yeah. I think it's good that a game made you feel that way. Yeah. You know, typically in video games, you're expected to find the monster or slay the monster, right? But yeah, in Nier Automata, you didn't want to hurt the ones who weren't trying to hurt you.
Now, some robots are attempting to become human by replicating human activities. Some try to have fun. You'll find them in a carnival. Some attempt to create artistically. Others attempt to create in ways that they don't have parts for. Some chase beauty as meaning, and they make for sick boss battles. Some mimic human government, creating monarchies. Others form quiet communities in the woods and embrace pacifism. Some decide to just burn it all down. Each group is more human than they know, however, because they are perfectly replicating the human tendency to search for purpose, or to substitute it with trivialities like acquiring power or engaging in hedonism. Since they have no creator to give them purpose, they have to make their own. In order to appear worthy of their murder, they had to become as gods, which they will often chant. When it becomes clear that they cannot ascend themselves into their own godhood, they set about evolving a god of their own, a machine life form, which they then worship.
Oh, wow.
Now, as Android 2B, you, the player, witness these efforts and do battle with the newly hatched gods, Adam and Eve they're called. The androids have their own story, which actually mirrors the robots. But before I say any more, I think you should go check this one out for yourself. It really is phenomenal. Now, sadly, it's a rather bleak story in the end. It examines all the ways that we try to make our own purposes in life and how pointless they all are.
Yes.
A chasing after the wind, you might say. A purpose, identity, or god of our own making is ultimately futile. Nier does posit one solution, though. At the very, very, very end of the game, after the other endings, of which there are several, you're given the task of blowing up all the names in the credits, Galaga style. But it's impossible. After a few failed attempts, you get this option to get help from other people, which allows...
I used to think of the credits of Super Smash Brothers, where you get to shoot the names of the credits. But in Super Smash Brothers' case, it's just for fun. This here has a bit of a different meaning, huh? Yeah. Oh, and the soundtrack is amazing. You should check out the soundtrack of Nier Automata. You really should.
You to succeed. Then the game asks if you want to help others in the same way that you were helped, but there's a catch. You have to give up your save. All your game data will be erased. All the time that you spent playing this game will be gone. Nier Automata wants to tell you that the ultimate purpose for us is to help each other and sacrifice of ourselves to do it.
Yeah.
Loving them, in other words. Watching these shows illuminates parts of our humanity. We see Violet learn that love is not language, it's sacrifice. Frieren sees that our moments together matter because they end. The androids from Nier see that purpose has to come from something higher than yourself. Anything else collapses into despair.
Yeah, that's also really good. Yeah. On the subject of sacrifice, and I know it's probably a bit cringe for some people, but the game Detroit Become Human, in the main menu, you know, you have a robot who serves as like, you know, your menu robot. You know, she tells you, you know, the load, save your game, options and stuff. But after you finish the game, she asks if she can be let go too, to be free to explore herself. And you as a player, you know, you can choose to tell her to leave or to stay, right? That's what it makes me think of, because, you know, if you do tell the robot to leave, she leaves forever. And, you know, and every time you boot up the game in the main menu, she won't be there because, you know, you chose to let her go. They did undercut it by letting you order another one. Chloe. Yeah. Thank you. That was her name, Chloe. Yeah, you let her go. You're a real one. Yeah, they did undercut it by letting you order a new Chloe if you missed your old one, but we'll pretend the option doesn't exist and say if you let her go, you know, even though it makes your menu now empty, you did the right thing, you know. Love can be a sacrifice too, is the thing, right? It's fascinating.
Intangible but very real ideas are what form into our understanding of what gets called metaphysics. Metaphysics, when organized with intention, becomes theology, and that intention, that's the key. See, a counterpoint to Nier's final lesson is that it's still made up unless it comes from outside of us. Even the seemingly good purpose of community or keeping others' memories alive, they're empty if we're simply helping others get to a pointless tomorrow. Our purpose then, our real way to love, must be to help each other get to something meaningful, to God. In that way, Jesus did demonstrate love, bridging a gap for us with sacrifice. Now, I have that same purpose, and it's important because I don't have infinite time. None of us do.
Interesting.
The lessons of these shows display an interdependent cycle. Love is great, but love with no time constraint becomes shallow and dull. Time without purpose becomes empty. Purpose without love becomes robotic. As people, we keep coming back to these things, and we don't...
Yeah, it makes me think of Buddhism in a way, too. I remember learning from my Japanese professor on the subject of Buddhism and impermanence. You know, the art of letting go, essentially. That's also a purpose without, you know, that in a way gives life meaning as well. That nothing is permanent either, and that to let go of, you know, not just, you know, love and stuff, but of pain too and everything, and to, you know, embrace things as they come. I think that's also pretty interesting. I think it's great that humanity came up with ways to, you know, find a way to give purpose. A Buddha board? Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. The Buddha board where you can sketch anything you want, but then the ink fades away entirely. You know, the drawing is gone now, but the feelings you had when making it are still there. That's the beauty of impermanence in Buddhism too. Yeah. I'm not religious myself in any way. I don't follow any religion, but I still think it's fascinating how people can use religion to seek meaning in their own way too. I really like that.
Continue to rediscover them because they're written into the universe like some physics equation. The evidence of their truth is that we break in their absence. I appreciate you watching.
Yeah.
See you next time.
Good video. Really good video. I thought that would make for really good discussions. Yeah, absolutely love this subject about, you know, humanity, what it means to be human, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. The Buddha board made you sad because you work hard for it and it's gone? Well, is it really gone, though? It's still there in your mind, isn't it? And it still gives you feeling. Yeah, so I think that's a sort of, one aspect of impermanence, you know? A world-class villain? Oh no! Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, I thought that this was a really great video. Because in the story I'm writing, I have a character who's just like that, a bit stoic and reserved. You know, they weren't human, but they took on a human form, right? And yeah, basically you learn what it means to be human by exploring these different thingies. Different thingies. I'm such a genius. Yeah, acceptance, impermanence, that helps you move on to the next day. Because you know, time will move on with or without you, right? So, you know, to be able to let go isn't to say that you don't care. It means that you care and love enough to be able to move on. Because, you know, those who love you, who are no longer here, you know, they'd want you to carry on, right? That's your deep philosophy for today. Questions that really make you think. See what other people are saying down here. The evidence of their truth is that we break in their absence. Yeah. Chasing after the wind. Okay, calm down, Mr. Solomon. Okay, yeah, okay. Enough philosophy for today. Thank you for coming to our TED Talk. Stream's over now. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Get out of here, you losers. Okay, but no, that was great for discussion. Yes. We shall keep these questions in the back of our mind. Yeah, he does tend to talk a bit fast, doesn't he? Yeah. But, yeah, the channel... Oh, here, I almost forgot. Let me link you all the video. Yeah, but make sure you check out the video yourself, too. Give it a like, give it a watch. Yeah, the channel name, Greg Owen. I've watched quite a few of his videos. You know, I don't always agree on everything, but, you know, I think he has some pretty solid takes about story writing and, you know, the different ways that we write and everything. Yeah, make sure to go check it out. It's pretty good.